Okay, we're going.
Okay.
Three, two, one, we're going.
How often have you stressed out and lost sleep over your inability to reach people the same way on camera that you do when you're in person? I am self-healing and relationship expert Rebeccah Silence, host of the Healing is Possible experience, and we have the most special episode for you today. We are talking about how to elevate your brand on camera so that you can be even more of service. This show takes you on a journey back to the highest and best of you. We show up for you every single week. Do me a favor, go to the Rebeccah Silence YouTube channel, subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you like what you watched today, please share this episode with a friend. And without further ado, from cleaning carpets to working the red carpets, celebrity brand expert, dear friend, family member at this point, and mentor to me, Starley Murray. We welcome you to the show. So grateful you're here.
After that introduction, I better do some singing and dancing too.
Yeah.
Woo! Thank you so much, Rebeccah.
Oh my goodness. So we are going to talk about media training and on-camera confidence today. But first, I love to ask every one of my guests this question. What does healing mean to you? And how does it apply to on-camera confidence?
Well, first of all, what healing means to me. Oops, product placement. Rebecca's shirt right here. You know, what healing means to me is actually just to be a better, happier version of myself on a regular basis. And maybe it's just like a little tiny smidge today. Maybe it was a big jump tomorrow. But I put a lot of stock for my own personal growth. And, you know, if I'm not growing, I'm dying. You know, if I'm not growing, I'm not growing, right? So I like to make sure that I'm healing a little bit every day in however way I can. And I've learned so much from you. And guys, I know this is going to be so cheesy. I'm sorry I have to do this, but this has actually just been a game changer. I've absolutely loved coming back to life. Rebeccah, thank you for this book. This is absolutely amazing. So that's my definition.
Yeah. Well, I love what you're saying because just that commitment and intentionality around getting better, regardless of how much, regardless of, you know, what it looks like on paper on that given day, momentum is momentum and movement is movement and growth is growth. And how does that apply to on-camera confidence? One of the big lessons I've learned from you is it's all not just part of the journey, it's all goodness along the way. Who I was even 2 years ago, even 2 months ago, has grown and transformed so much. And 20 years ago, Rebeccah, versus 2 hours ago, Rebeccah, you've helped me realize it's all so important and none of it should be bemoaned or put down or, you know, used as growth in terms of like a shame-based thing. It's just all growth.
Oh yeah, definitely. And well, first of all, thank you for that. And wanted to say for everybody that's listening, it doesn't matter if it's your first day to share your gifts with the world or if you've been doing it for many decades, but we all feel that little bit of difference that when we get in front of a camera. And even if you're a pro, you've been like, I've had the blessing to work with some very high profile influencers for many years. And I will tell you that even the best of the best, I've been doing stage for years. They'll tell me, oh, I got a television appearance and it feels different. Or maybe they've done stage and TV and they're like, yeah, but I don't do long format podcast interviews. That feels a little different. Or they're used to doing that, but they're not used to doing, you know what I'm saying? And it goes on like radio or so. Yes, sometimes no matter what kind of amazing healers, helpers, leaders, superheroes that we are, when we get in front of a camera, sometimes we change just a little bit. And isn't it funny? A lot of times we blame the camera, but it's just because we're maybe in a different format where we're trying to share our core expertise, and it throws us off just a little bit. So we do help people get comfortable with that.
Yeah. And you've truly worked with the highest level of celebrities and influencers. And one of the things that I find so humbling and fascinating about getting the privilege of working with you is we are all just people, and you're teaching the same thing and helping whoever it is in front of you elevate their presence on camera and in media. Talk a little bit about just the human factor.
Yeah, well, it's so funny, Rebecca, and I admit this all the time, but one of our, on-camera confidence type training programs it's the same thing for our new people to cameras, but not new to their expertise. They say, yeah, give me some of that camera confidence stuff. Yeah, okay, great. But our industry experts that been on camera for many years or stage in some format or another are like, no, I'm good. I'm confident with camera, but I really want to preserve and dive deeper with the audience authenticity, because I never want to lose that, right? And I always want to dive deeper, always, right? The best mentors in the world are full-time students. That's why I work very hard on being a full-time student more than touting myself as a mentor. So here's the secret. The on-camera confidence training that we teach and the authenticity with the audience connection are almost the same training. And so that is the human factor. That's the equalizer, right there, because we all want to showcase ourselves with where our integrity of what our expertise is, that it's being presented in a way that the audience can really absorb it and understand it. And again, when we're on a stage or camera and somebody says, hey, you've got 30 seconds to give your brand, tell me what you're about. Okay, you've got or 3 hours to really talk out something. It's format, whether you need to be concise or whether stretch it out, the format can really affect your delivery of your message, which can affect your confidence, which, by the way, most people don't have a stage fright thing. Most people have a lack of preparedness thing. So
talk more about that. That's massive.
well, so the lack of preparedness thing is common for all of us at any level, brand new to super veteran in front of a camera. The lack of preparedness is not, do I know my expertise, but how do I want to spoon it up? How do I want to deliver it? Are we doing something that's very interactive? Is this a backstory where you're really trying to share who you are? Is it more of an intense training? Did somebody purchase this, say video or series of videos, and they have an expectation of, intensity of training tactics in there? And because all of this affects the preparedness. And if you're not prepared, then sometimes it's like right before you get on a camera, you're like, it's not because you're not an expert, right? You already know that you're a rock star at what you do. It's just the preparedness. So there's different ways that we show people how to prepare for stage, as we would for television appearance, as we would for being a guest on somebody else's podcast, doing your own podcast, or shooting your YouTube videos.
Yeah.
A lot of prep.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit before we get into some real world tips and tools for our audience to take their message to the next level in whatever form of media works for them. Just tell us about your backstory and how you got here, because I personally am familiar with your backstory, and I think it's super, super moving, because not only have you worked with the best of the best in the world in terms of the biggest influencers on the red carpets and beyond, but statistically speaking, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like where you came from and where you are, and these people are following you for a reason. So just tell us a little bit about how you got here and what that journey looked like.
Well, thanks, Rebecca. I have to tell you that, on the subject of getting to work with some pretty seasoned folks, for me, I just feel like it's such a blessing just to be anywhere near them, and the crumbs of greatness that just fall off them, feed me for a lifetime.
Hmm.
And so I'm just humbled every time I'm around people that have valuable information that can somehow enhance what I teach so I can really pass it on and do the ripple effect. I just really feel like a messenger. And so, first off, I'm just trying to give a big blanketed thank you to all of the mentors, influencers, and folks that lend their good name to make a difference, like especially like with our charities and things like that. But specifically, I'll say that what you're talking about is kind of a weirdly unique situation. Like, how did you end up here? Being in front of the camera a bunch, or specializing in this thing about confidence in front of other groups of people, or a camera. Well, the way I grew up, I was taught basically don't be seen and don't be heard. And then so now what do I do for a living? Hey, everybody, be seen and be heard. And, when you grow up in a house and your first 2 decades are being seen and being heard is detrimental to you and your family's safety, because it was a pretty severe house of domestic violence. And basically, the media training skills that I picked up pretty early on were how to really watch people, how to listen to tone of voice, how to read a room. And so not just, the normal, whatever intuitive nature that you had, or empathic because you want to keep people safe, but it was, how do I just try to make things even not happen, right? Now, I want to tell you, how much control do you think a 4-year-old has on that? So, right. So,
Zero.
yeah, preach, right? I'm preaching to the choir over here, the expert. But I will tell you that, pretty much from the age of, 4 till, my early 20s even, these lessons in being able to relate to people and read people, and also that feeling of I shouldn't be seen and I shouldn't be heard. It was a contradictory thing for me, because I felt like I had a message from the universe and a message from my creator as early as the age of 9, that this is not the way it should be. Things are going to be different. You're here to help other people. You're here, the voice was, I'm here to help you. And so, some of the beautiful gifts that ended up coming out of that situation for me is, at 4 years old, I was helping to co-parent, as my mom would always say, my little brother. And so at 4 years old, I've got a baby. And, the awesome, responsibility was the fact that I ended up learning lessons on a lot of things backwards in life. I ended up I felt like parenting at an early age, right? And then when I got into the television and film industry, we ended up working with these high profile folks really right out the gate. And so that was kind of as marketers would say, the high end of the value ladder. So I started backwards, right, on a lot of things. And so now I'm at a place where, we're working on, how to nurture a community and show them the things that I've, been fortunate enough to be exposed to over the last 30 years of 80 to 100-hour weeks in the television and video industry. I eat, breathe, and sleep that world because that was just such a huge world of gratification, of getting able to share people's stories and to show them how to showcase their stories, and to be able to have all these behind the scenes relationships. Being a national television producer allowed me to not only help shape stories in some way, but I got to see what it's like when you step out of behind the scenes and finally decide to get in front of a camera. And so most of my clients, my coaching community, which really they're just our community, they are people that are so busy being superheroes, rescuing and teaching and training and mentoring and healing and helping, that they're thinking, oh, you Star, I don't have time to get on camera here. I'm out there saving the world one person at a time. And so we like to show people, look, if you are hiding like I did, I hid my gifts from the camera for years because that was my training, is to hide, right? And when you're hiding your gifts from the camera, you are hiding your gifts from the world. And most of the helpers, healers,
That's such a big line. When you're hiding your gifts from the camera, you're hiding your gifts from the world. I had to reinforce that. Please keep going.
No, thank you. We're interactive, you and I. We're like
Yeah.
one line sometimes. It's crazy. But so the thing is if you're not sharing your gifts with the world, and that's all I ever hear the people in our communities say. And on every level, they're like, I just want to help. I just want to make a difference. And I was like, well, how are you going to do that by yourself with the camera off? And no, I said, it cues me back to how I grew up. And I was like, no, 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 no. I went from being told you're not going to be seen, you're not going to be heard, to being a record holder on television where I'm seen, I'm heard, because I do want to make a difference. So if you want to make a difference, we want to make sure and get you on some cameras, get you out there to share your gifts with the world, because we need you. And we're going to create that ripple effect together.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I have so much to say about what you just said, but I do want to point this out. So one of the major shows that you became the producer for after starting as a makeup artist, after all of your early childhood training, right, and programming, you ended up becoming the producer of America's Most Wanted. And I think that is such a powerful story, because what a way to be a part of healing the trauma that you grew up with. And there is a direct correlation, everybody watching, between our childhood pain and our trauma and our ability to serve humanity. And that wound that makes us feel unqualified or disqualified or not worthy, or whatever that looks like for you, that is your path to purpose if you choose to surrender into it. And Starley, you're just such a beautiful example of this. And I think our divine assignment, I love that you spoke to that. It's so much bigger than us. And I love how Jamie Kern Lima talks about God's dream for you is so much bigger than yours, than you'll ever be able to comprehend. And I just, again, want to reiterate and reinforce this point you made about if you're hiding from the camera, you're hiding your gifts and your ability to lead and serve and be that part of healing the collective. Yes, thank you, Jamie. I've got it right here too. So with all of this goodness that we're already talking about, I would love to know, I know you have a few tips prepared for those watching. So whether you think you're qualified or not, I'm just going to suggest you're here for a reason. It's not a coincidence that you showed up on this episode of the Healing is Possible experience with me and with Starley Murray. And I really believe your purpose is divinely orchestrated, and this calling is meant to come to fruition. And before you get into the tips, I'll also just honor the beautiful, gorgeous Christiane Burchard, Brendan Burchard's mom, who introduced Starley and I. I didn't expect to be introduced to this woman, and I'd been in media over 15 years already before meeting Starley Murray. And just in a conversation with Christiane, she said, I know who you need to talk to. Hold on a second. And suddenly she had Starley and I on a phone call on her cell phone. I'm talking to Starley Murray, and just don't be afraid to allow yourself to receive the support that's going to take your mission and your message to the next level. So thank you, Mama B. Mama B, we love you so much. So grateful for this synchronistic divine meeting between Starley and I. And I'm so grateful for all of you joining us on this episode today. And I don't think it's a coincidence. So with all of that being said, what are your hottest tips for our audience on how they can take their message next level on camera? And I really think this is important, because I used to think I had to be directly serving to be responsible and to do my best work and to make sure the audience was wrapped and all of these things. But I'm in a season where I can reach the masses much farther, faster, and take their lives and my work much deeper without having direct access, being more and more and more on camera and comfortable with it. So these tips are critical. Okay, what do you have?
Oh yeah, thank you for serving that up so I can just like serve, lop it over with serve. And of course I'm going to have to say thank you to Christiane, the mama bee of the Brendon Burchard world. And you know, I've really tried to, when I'm in Brendan's circles and have the honor of just soaking up his greatness and learning, right? And then you see how he puts our I was going to say he puts his family out there in service. His family just runs and jumps in front of everyone and says, I'm here to serve, right? Hello. But, you know, getting that exposure to such greatness in these leaders and learning from them. I'm usually, when I'm there, I'm thinking behind the scenes, like I'm student mode. I'm learning. And so when you have someone like Mama B, the connector of people, when you're at these events, she's always going out of her way. She's just such an angel, and she's so heart-centered, and she's thinking like, I just, you know, I met Rebeccah. You know who I think is going to be a great match with Rebeccah is Star, you know, and oh, I met this other person, Mary, and who's going to be a great match with Joe. Or it's, gosh, I mean, that woman is just truly an angel. The only thing she's missing is her wings, because
They're there.
anyway, yeah. So from being in this, you know, in the circles and learning in the Brendon Burchard world is absolutely paramount. I just recommend that everybody learn from Brendan and his mom, Christiane. Thank you. You know, this was just a soul sister situation that you set up for Rebeccah and I, because it's not just that we're able to work with each other and collaborate and help each other in business, but we became soul sisters, and it was because of your introduction. So this is one of the first times I've ever publicly thanked you, and I like thank you.
We
So,
love you.
yes, we love you. We love you. So so as far as some of the tips, okay, when you're going to be on camera, so on camera video marketing, these two go together, because if you're running a business without video marketing, you may be missing out on something, right? Or at least know that your competitors aren't. So first off. Secondly, when you are doing video marketing, you can do it without ever being on camera. But since people buy you more than they buy a business corporation, you know, why would you hold your persona, your personality, your love, you know, away from them? So you want to be on camera and do video marketing for your business. It's just really simple. It exists with or without my presence. It exists. All right. So now let's talk about what are some of the things you can do in your video marketing. So, Rebeccah, after 3 decades of coaching on camera, I realized, well, you know, they continually come to me and they're having a little bit of issues with their messaging or with their confidence. And it mostly was tracking back to brand. And so they didn't know their personal umbrella brand or their business umbrella brand, or if they had 2 different ones, what were the combinations to the 2? You know, what's my core alignment with my mission that I want to do in life? Do you need to know all of that to do one video? Well, no. But if you want to be able to do all of them much easier and more effectively, it would be great if you knew in your heart, okay, this is what I stand for, and this is the way I want to share it with the world. Because you could go on any live television appearance or any podcast interview and just speak from the cuff without notes, right? So that's the first thing. So people will tell me, I feel like I'm having an imposter syndrome. And I'll say, I don't think you have that. Really, what I think you have is a lack of your brand awareness and how it aligns with your mission, vision, and values. Number 1. Number 2, the confidence that we spoke about. Very often the confidence comes from a lack of preparedness, right? So what are some of the ways, let's just dial down a little deeper since we already covered that, for feeling prepared. Is there an intro, 3 points, and a closing? Let's just simplify it, right? I'll have people come to me and talk for 30, 40 minutes on one subject for a video. And I was like, let's just boil it down into, 5 sentences. What's the intro? What's 3 points and a closing? Because you can, if you just have those 3 points in your head, you can dial it in for, the 3-minute message or the 30-minute message or the 3-hour message, right? So let's just start off with simple structure, because that preparedness is going to give you more confidence. Thirdly is your messaging. So one of the things that I noticed is with messaging is there are a million marketing tips on video marketing about messaging. And a lot of them are right too, right? A lot of them are. So you don't have to learn all of them, right? We just want to learn the ones that affect you. But there's two. There are two that I recommend that you really think about: congruency and consistency. Because if you don't have those two in alignment, it does cause doubt in the minds of the person and watching. They could lose respect, they could lose trust. So let's just talk about those two words: congruency and consistency. Something as simple as, we'll say the consistency. Hey guys, I'm going to drop a video every week, and then you don't. I didn't say that your biggest challenge in life is that life gets in your way and you couldn't drop a video, but you said you were going to drop a video. So just say, hey guys, I'm going to drop a video once a month, if that's safe, or twice a month. But whatever you say, you want to stay in
Because
track.
you're saying it's about what's real. Don't say it if it isn't really going to get backed up with a commitment, so that congruence is, this is who I am and what I do. And you're training people to trust you.
That's exactly it. You're training people. I love how you said that, Rebeccah. Woo! And so the thing is you don't have to be perfect. You just want to be consistent.
You do have to be consistent and congruent, meaning I am who I said I would be. I just think this is everything, Star, because, so back to Brendan Burchard for a second, and then because I know you have even more, but I want to focus on this for a minute, because I remember watching Brendan back in, the 2008-ish, year, and he didn't care that he was messy, that it was new. He created this online influencer community. And I'm not here to be like, oh, Brendan, oh, hell, Brendan. But I am like, thank you, Brendan. He's one of my mentors. He's the same when you're talking to him one-on-one, the human to human, as he is when he's, reaching millions upon millions. I think he has over 1 billion views online, but he started messy, but he did what he said. And he kept showing up. And then he just got more and more and more him and comfortable. And I started on radio. Nobody was watching me. Then I got my first gig on the news as a regular expert, now almost 15 years ago. And I was trying to be the TV person instead of like just Rebeccah being Rebeccah. And for me, it's taken about 15 years to get super comfortable. And I get to talk to you and I get to share my heart. But it is about congruence and consistency. Then be the messy messenger as long as you need to be, but be consistent and congruent and human. And my God, will they fall in love with you? The right people.
Oh my goodness. Hallelujah. That's for sure. And the thing that makes me laugh about Brendan is when he makes jokes about his dancing, and he said something like, hey, he makes fun of himself, and then he's talking about how it's funny or it's not awesome dancing. And it's so funny because in my mind, I'm thinking, I can't dance that good. I'm like, this is, but he's so authentic, right? So he pulls you in. And so that was we're talking about the consistency and that congruency. The other thing about congruency is the minute they catch you in an accident, I said caught you. The minute they see an accident, they think, oh, maybe I'm catching you in a fib. So again, you don't have to be perfect. You do want to be consistent, and you definitely just want to spend a little bit more time thinking about the little things, because the little things do mean a lot to people. So keep it simple, my intro, 3 points and a closing, and then try to be consistent with that. So image. So I have a lot of people say, I get two kinds of people that talk about their physical appearance on the camera. And so I've got ones that are used to being on camera a lot, and they're like, hey, I'm just looking for these extra tips. Well, I did start off as a celebrity image expert. So yes, we do know stuff about makeup, hair, wardrobe, of course. And we do have a little spoiler alert, but coming out in the new year, these little mini kits to help people. They're not a high profit little product for me, but they are people asking so much for them that we're putting these things together to help people. But as far as those little tips, let's go back to the people who are like, no, I'm actually not comfortable with being on camera because, I'm too this, I'm too that, or I'm not enough of this, I'm not enough of that. Oh my goodness, that always breaks my heart because you are enough. The one thing that I'm going to remind you is that people are not looking for their experts to look like supermodels and pro athletes. They are looking for their experts to just look like a prepared version of whatever their expertise is, because their main goal is to learn from you, to find something that's going to move the needle in their life so they can, be better in some way, have something better in some way because of you. So if we're truly just in fact, I kept leaning into the camera because of my mind, but like if we truly just lean into the servitude, and it's a lot of the confidence issues, a lot of and any of the image stuff, and we've all been guilty of this, or at least everyone I've talked to, and I've talked to well over 10,000 people myself. I'm not counting all the people in the stages or on all the television appearances, but just people I've talked to one-to-one, and easily I've heard from more than 10,000 people over these decades. Every single one of them said that they were uncomfortable about some sort of physical thing, with their appearance. So what's going to help with that? Leaning into servitude, first of all, right? Brendan leans into servitude and he dances his way into your hearts, right? And I'm not sure, as much as we love and appreciate him and see him as a mentor, I'm not sure if he's going to make it on Dancing with the Stars anytime soon. But he sure does.
That'd be good.
What? The one thing that maybe if we said that, one thing we said Brendan couldn't do, you watch, he'll be on tomorrow. Proving us all like, oh no, here I am, because he can master things like that. But my point is he danced his way into our hearts. In fact, leaning into things that are silly or awkward. People forgive flaws. People don't forgive fakes. And so oftentimes it's my little weird things. Like I may show them Hello Kitty sitting over here in the corner. Let's see if I can get the camera to do it. Let's see. Can you see her over there? Hello Kitty. Oh, it's hard to see her. She's in the corner. But
yes, I can see her.
See her? Can you see her? Hello Kitty
Yes,
sitting in the corner, right? Or they may see something, my little prep area, and then they'll see some, my little slippers. They'll see a Hello Kitty slippers. But people like to see the little real stuff, the things that, whether they're silly but anything that's authentic and real. And I can't dance because I can't even dance as good as Brendan's bad day. But so yeah, and I'd say also, like on the subject of your space behind you, remember that you are only part of what's being seen in the shot. It doesn't matter to me if your branded back wall is a solid white wall or black wall, or whether you have curtains with lights on them. I mean, I'm teaching people how to do video rooms. So I'm going to have multiple views of different video rooms. Like, hey, we teach you how to interview, right? So we're going to teach you how to get the image stuff. And then all these other sections, like literally these what do you call these shelves, these units actually roll. And then when you flip them on the other side, it's got, one has blue screen, one has backdrop, one has neon sign. So yes, obviously my background's going to have a bunch of stuff like that in it. But guys, you don't have to have a bunch of things in your background. It could just be a solid wall. But here's the thing. Are you so close to your wall that you look like, you know that driver's license picture where you're like, oh man, I'm so cold. I'm like, I could bump my head on this wall. Or, if you're casting really crazy shadows, behind you, I'm not trying to overly polish and perfect. I'm just trying to keep things that might distract from your message, that may distract from that couple of seconds or that split second you had to build rapport with someone who just decided to click on your video for a second or two. And in the background, they're busy looking at the things behind your head. And I'm like, oh no, they missed an important message. And on that note, I'm going to end that subject with one other comment. And that's that, most people are able to, I'd say about 65% of people are able to absorb about 10 images per second, which is about 600 images per minute. So that's why if you have something that's speaking to your brand and that's okay. If you have something that is, counterproductive to your brand, or it's just a distracting, crazy shadow on the wall that looks like a big mountain cat, or then that's distracting to the message. So again, you don't have to have a fancy background. And I just say that because people will call me out on that all the time. And I was like, well, we teach background. So so anyways, you are the most important thing in that frame. So how do you hold attention, right? As opposed to the white background or the black or the stuff back there. And that is making sure that you're leaning into servitude. You're sharing yourself authentically. Please, rehearsal is okay. Rehearsal is not a bad thing. Guys, it's okay to repeat the same words more than once, because if they're coming from your heart, it just means that you are dedicated to these words, to this message. My favorite soundbite in the entire world is 3 words. I love you. It's okay to be repetitive with your messaging. In fact, I encourage it. In fact, I challenge you. Because if these are the words that are from your heart, how are you going to help change the world and share your message if you're saying, well, no, I don't want to say that again because I already said it that way and that's going to sound rehearsed. And so, I need to be authentic. Sure, you could be authentic and organized. You can repeat the same words without it being an acting type of script when they're the words from your heart. I love you, Rebeccah. I love this audience. We love you, Mama V. We love you, Brendan. I love my family. I love my community. And you know what? I say it all the time. Same words. It's okay.
Oh, this is so good. So I have 3 things I want to say now. So this setup, many of you have watched evolve, over the course of this year with Starley's support. And she said to me one day, honey, don't think of it as an office. It's a set. And I want you all out there that are ready or not, knowing there's a calling that you're meant to put yourself out there more on camera, to think of yourself as a star on set. Let your identity catch up to that, because somewhere deep down, you already know my community is a community that cares about making a difference. You're influencers. You want to be as healed as possible to make your greatest impact. You're the generational healer in the family. You on your path have gone from silence no more to wanting to get your voice out there. So you're a star who needs a set. And again, we love the right environment and the preparedness, the consistency, the congruency. And here's a Brendan line: don't be afraid to start small. Yeah. It will keep going the more you show up and have the right support. Have the right support. Have the right support. You can't do it alone. And you do want feedback. And so much of what lands and has had more of a reach, I wouldn't have expected to be the thing that lands. You don't know. And another thing that Starley has taught me is your audience is going to brand you, but you showing up with the it factor of your authenticity and your heart on repeat, consistent, is what will help you get the feedback from your audience about what they want more of. And if you're not putting yourself out there, how do you know what they want more of? And it's not your job to adapt to be who anybody wants you to be. It's you being all of who you are and letting people see it so the right people can find you, because you are meant to lead. You absolutely are. And then I'll just want to reiterate this piece about rehearsal. So Starley booked me on a beautiful Austin TV station, Emmy award winning, and we're driving there. And I'm going through the script in my brain, because back to what she said earlier, it's not a stage fright issue. It's a preparedness issue. So, and I've been doing this a long time, very seasoned, but I wanted to get it right. And so I'm rehearsing in my head, and Star goes, honey, you can do it out loud. It's just me. And I thought, I don't want to do this out loud in the car with you. And then I thought, well, if I can't do it out loud, how the hell am I going to do it at the station? And I've only done countless TV appearances at this point, but putting myself in this position to vulnerably rehearse the script, out loud just minutes before walking into this TV station and literally going past all the Emmys and all the awards back through the green room, right? It was a game-changing moment for me because A, it taught me lighten up, and B, the more I rehearse out loud, the more I get to embody the message from my heart, which means more of the right people are going to feel me. And by the end of that appearance, I mean, we had all of the crew were bawling. It was wonderful. It was gorgeous. But you can't have that experience of impacting on the heart level that you were actually born to reach people at if you're not putting yourself out there and putting yourself out there and putting yourself out there as the real human you. So I just can't thank you enough for this conversation, Star. And I had to share those few pieces. And I think the last thing I want to ask you, and then I want you to share, you've got a brand new way that people can work with you that is incredibly generous, reasonable, and quantum leaping and transforming and just awesome that I want you to speak to as well. But what just brief homework do you have for people to connect more to their personalized, unlike anyone else, it factor?
Yeah, I love that story. It's so funny. I still laugh. Thank you for telling it. Oh my goodness. So, and you're a pro. You're a pro, and pros forget that it's okay to get more training on the stuff you're already good at. That's okay. But so the homework that I'm going to give is to rehearse out loud, right? So have your what is your brand? Have an intro, 3 points, and a closing. Look, I didn't get to rehearse on an iPhone or a smartphone when I started. My first rehearsal, not in front of other human beings, it was on the live news. So I was terrible, and I looked at that and I went, I would never hire her. That is, I mean, I was it was a hot mess. But so you're rehearsing in the safety of in front of your phone is great, but I would say rehearse in front of a live audience anytime you can. And when people say, oh, I don't know if I don't do that, it's a little scary. And I said, okay, well, here's your other choice. You can rehearse while you're at the airport at the gate waiting in front of they're like, that's horrifying. I said, yeah, that's one of the most, if you can rehearse in front of a group of strangers at an airport, but I challenge you, just do it in your home. Now, as much as you can do it in front of your family and your friends, I would recommend that you do it in front of your target market. Our family and our friends, as they love us, and that doesn't mean that they're our avatar. So here's the thing that I find that's missing, though, with this rehearsal is most of us will go, say, to YouTube and get these great tactics, right? And then maybe we go to different live events and we work with different mentors that help us to pull in the tactics we researched on our own or that we got from other mentors. And we have mentors, strategies, and tactics, which is great. One of the things, though, that we teach that's often missing, so this is part of the challenge and the lesson, is you need to know what your core philosophy is, your business mission statement, then what that strategy is going to be, and then what the tactics are. This is what we strategically go through for everybody related to their welcome video, their demo reels, their sales pages. Talk about that's where people break down the doors, because there's the most imposter syndrome. I don't even use that word. Everybody else uses that word when they come to me. But it's about how do I be myself as the teacher, trainer, helper, hero type, and then sell people, right? And then I'm constantly quoting, Brendan or Dean Graciosi or Tony Robbins or something. I'm quoting a lot, all the people that have taught me as well. But I will say that is the challenge. And if you'd like, I could talk just a little bit about that group.
Share with people how they can work with you and this beautiful offer you have for the brand new year kickoff.
Yeah, I am really excited. So for 3 decades, we have not been in a situation where we've been, because of my full-time travel, traveling the world 80 to 100 hours a week, crazy, right? The glamorous life of a lot of heavy suitcases. And the thing is I was not able to be in a position to do what people would call group coaching. I call it a nurture community. And And the reason we're very strategic about who's in that particular community. And so, well, who's that? Well, like-minded, like-hearted, helpers, healers, leaders. We have a lot of high performance leaders. We have a lot of, holistic dentists, doctors. So this is the group that we are nurturing so they can go out and do the things that I can't do in this world. And I don't mentally heal people and physically, heal their bones. And I don't teach them fitness and nutrition, but my heart wants those things to be out there. But I know what I can do. So I look at 3 decades of, being behind the scenes in Hollywood, media training, directing, producing, that kind of stuff. And I think, as much as I'm so grateful to have all of this experience of working with internationally recognized celebrities, and I've learned, I'm like, do I really want to put all the rest of my time and my years and my legacy behind endorsing the acting community, which oftentimes is selling things that aren't always in line with where I am now in my life? And so, like such as selling soda pop on television to people like my 85-year-old diabetic mom who's been in and out of hospice mode for this last year and can't quit sugar? Or do I want to put my back behind helpers, healers, mentors of health and wellness? And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this community. And it's beyond a coaching group. And people that have already jump started into this community are already causing the ripple effect. And I don't take this lightly at all. I consider it not a duty, but an honor. And I'm just so excited. And of course, I'm going to spoil my people a little bit because I come from that red carpet background. So no, I'm not just talking about the little fun swag bags and all the cool stuff, but which, yes, but I'm talking about there's 3 ways to learn. And in my case, I go to events regularly, live events online and live events in person. And I get this information. It's great. And then when I come back home, sometimes I'm like, I just need a little bit more structure because I feel like that I came back to a daily grind and I'm trying to figure out how to work it into my world. Everyone I talk to has this same feedback. So I said, how can I create something that's there regularly? So for 3 days a week, for 3 weeks a month, for 3 months is that first cycle. And what happens is you get a chance to learn in a one-to-one when you are in what a lot of people call the hot seat. I call it the nurture spotlight because it's my job to nurture you and to teach and train, not to put you in a hot seat. So I'm in a hot seat full time for the last 30 years. I know what that feels like, on live TV. Woo, hot seat. So that's the first thing, is one-to-one. The second thing is it's not just a group coaching. It legitimately is a community. We introduce people with a photo, with a video, with your title. I've had people come to our live events and say, oh, the networking here is incredible. And I'm like, did you like my coaching and training too? And they're like, no, of course, yes. But so I just say, I hear you. I listen to everybody and what works for them and what they want. And yeah, I love that. And lastly, they have a 24/7 access too through a membership site. So they can't show up on one of those days or one of those weeks or multiple weeks. Everything is either the Q&A and Nurture Spotlight is in the private Facebook group, or the more formal training that I'm teaching in the beginning part is on the membership site. So yeah, I'm just really excited about it, Rebeccah, because I feel that it is one of the best things that we can do to serve and nurture our community. I mean, I'm not doing this to save more time. This is going to take up some more of my time. And anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted
So
to
what is the group program called and how do they get in touch with you to find out more?
Yes, it's so funny. We're so used to being pretty exclusive and not sharing all that. And you're like, hey, lady, how about telling them about the program name?
Just tell me what the name of it is. Tell them how to get in touch with you. Because again, unmatched support is everything if you're going to take your message to the next level, especially on camera. And this is a internationally award-winning expert that is unmatched and ridiculously humble. So what's the name of the program and how do they get in touch with you?
You're naming all the street cred. You're turning my face red. Okay. Yes. By the way, you have to stand on the shoulders of giants to get any of those titles. Just wanted to let you know, your mentors out there, all of our mentors. Okay, so the on-camera video marketing, that is the training. It is starting in mid-January and it goes through mid-March. And we are already jump starting some people in December because it's the first program ever. The people that we're starting in December, we're asking them, hey, if you want to jumpstart early, we'll let you be the early on leaders and feedback people for us in this beta part. And of course, we give them deep discounts for that. It's worth something to me to get the feedback because I want as many of the little boogaboos, that we're not used to showcasing, like certain forms, right, that are in a group format versus a one-to-one. So yeah, we actually have already jump started multiple people in December, and we're going to keep those numbers super, super small. And so yeah, if they want to learn more about that, they can go to oncameraAuthenticity.com. And that was originally set up just that a lot of our influencer partners and affiliate partners, we set that up so they could get a free gift there. That's really what that page was for. So you'll actually find a media training, tip sheet for interviews and some on-camera appearance, just like with Starley's quick sheet that I just want people to have in their pocket before they go on. And then there's a video in there with some training. It's not even a sales video. It's a full-on training video. And so if people want to know more after that, getting that free stuff, there's a place for a book or call. And because this is such a select group, that's the process.
Love it. OnCameraAuthenticity.com. And I am so happy for all of you that already know your next stop is OnCameraAuthenticity.com. Thank you for joining us today. You are here because we need your heart and your voice and your face more on camera serving, and you are so loved and you are so held and you are so supported and seen. Thank you for being a difference maker. The world needs you healed, making your difference, and don't be afraid of the camera. Just more of you authentic. That's what I'm going to say your it factor is. It's your authenticity. And I can't even count the times Star has sent me little clips of me on camera. Don't ever stop doing this. And I'm like, really? That is what you want me to keep? And it's just more and more of you, the you really are. This is the Healing is Possible experience. We are so honored to have you. Again, subscribe to the Rebeccah Silence YouTube channel. Visit RebeccahSilence.com for more of my work and resources, and just go get them. Go keep making your difference. Love you all. Thank you, Star. See you soon.